In this video, I spoke with the co-founders of Trace, recent Harvard Business School graduates that are building the first pre-sale marketplace, and you may have seen them go viral on Alex Earl's TikTok. Trace is reimagining what many of you may remember as the Kelley Blue Book. Back in the day before purchasing a car, you would check this. It became the trusted source for understanding what the full value of an asset was before making the purchase. Trace is reimagining that and bringing that same concept to consumer commerce with fashion. We discuss what unlocked this need to build something for the next generation shopper, what the future of agentic commerce will look like 10 years out, and why now is the perfect time to build this company. Let's first start off with what is Trace, who's it for, and what's the problem it's solving?
At Trace, we're really building towards our North Star of agentic re-commerce, but we're starting with the first pre-sale marketplace. So resale is a massive market. It's $525 billion, but it's completely disconnected from the $7 trillion e-commerce market. And every single resale solution today starts after someone's already bought the item and it's really built for disposal. Trace turns, before you even check out, it turns resale into a purchasing tool, helping you really afford what you love and actually influence if you buy an item from the start. So we really built this based on an existing sort of shift in consumer behavior where young shoppers today are already considering the resale value before they make their primary purchase. So we're really riding that wave of consumer behavior. And as I mentioned, the big distinction is that we're not a disposal tool. We are actually built for purchasing, turning really other people's demand into a financing tool.
Walk me through quickly the workflow. So, like, you see a dress, you're on ShopUp, you're on Revolve, you want that $1,000 dress. You're not sure how many times you're going to wear it. How would go about that on Trace?
You shop how you normally shop. So we work on any existing retailer site. So it requires no change in consumer behavior. When you find a dress or another item you love, you can list it on Trace in 2 taps before you've even bought it. By doing that, it automatically enters our feed. And that's where other people can bid to buy it or rent it from you next. So if you get a bid, it's up to you as the lister to accept that bid. Once you do, that bid is locked in and you can check out with whatever value that the bid is to recoup it. And so your purchase is partially funding itself.
And there can be multiple bidders. So, say two people want to buy the or rent the dress for $100, then you would see the full value would be 800.
Yeah, our tagline is girl math that actually works. So in theory, if there's enough demand around the same item, you could basically be getting something for free because you have 5 people lined up that are going to rent it from you. Ella and I are really building this for ourselves because we're shopaholics. And so we're we're trying to solve our own shopping problem. Mostly just because both her and I have justified so many purchases around, okay, I'll resell it later or I'll be able to rent it out and recoup some of the cost. But the issue with resale today and rental is there's so much uncertainty and a lot of friction. So even if you put in a ton of work to list an item, for resale or rental, it's a very manual and archaic process today. There's no guarantee that there will be a buyer out there. And so with Trace, with this pre-sale mechanic, we are really trying to make resale demand driven, whereas today we believe it to be fully supply driven.
So, you guys just graduated Harvard Business School last month. One, congrats. And two, when did start? Like, clearly, like, you guys have always been passionate about shopping and the resale market. When did kind of Trace come from this idea into a reality?
So Katie and I met the first day of Harvard Business School, immediately connected over each other's style. And the idea came together really organically. We were sitting in Katie's apartment, just brainstorming ideas, landed on this idea, and then started working on it.
I think Ella and I both have had a lot of pain with resale, but from completely different angles. So for me, I am an avid resale user. I've listed over 700 pieces of my own clothing on Poshmark and haven't had a lot of success. So I know kind of like the pains of the seller perspective. And before HBS, I was a software engineer at Etsy where rebuilding the seller listing process. So also from more of like a technical data perspective, there's a lot of messiness around resale data. Like, I think we just have very different sort of angles from why resale is so broken.
Yeah, so I'm on the other side of the spectrum. And despite having used resale to justify many expensive purchases in my life, I've never actually successfully resold or rented anything out just because the few times that I have tried listing something, it's led to no success. So for me, the effort to manually go through the work of listing something has never led to a successful outcome. So it's deterred me from really trying to pursue it further.
Okay, so not to spoil anything, but you guys did go viral on Alex Earl's TikTok. What sort of feedback have you guys been seeing so far with consumers on both sides, whether it's the renters or the people that are actually listing?
Yeah, I would say we were sort of overwhelmed by all of the comments we got in Alex's TikTok. People calling Trace genius, that we're getting thousands of likes, saying that as a secondhand shopper, this would completely change their mindset around purchasing new items. And so that just gave us so much signal that we've definitely tapped into an existing consumer vein where there's no real mechanic built around it yet. And so that's what we're building. We're building around an existing behavior, and the overwhelming response and people coming on to our website, to our product, and not just saying that they loved it, but actually engaging in marketplace activity where kind of one of our most exciting metrics was around 1 in 3 of our new users were actively creating new listings for things that they were actively shopping for. Just for context, marketplace benchmarks are a lot lower than that. So we're already kind of 6 times higher than the listing activation rate for typical resale marketplaces. We just have a lot of amazing power users who are emailing us constantly, who've actually offered to invest because they feel so strongly that what we're building will change shopping for them.
Looking in the future, say 10 years out, what does e-commerce look like? ThredUp just published a report that said 52% of next gen is already considering reselling their purchase. What do you think a decade out this world looks like?
5 years ago was just convenience. And now I think the next is going to be hyper personalization. That's just going to be table stakes with AI. And that's kind of the future that we're trying to build towards with having an agent that knows exactly what you're shopping for because we will have we have all the demand data. So I definitely think hyper personalization is just going to be something that's table stakes. We really see re-commerce and resale as being an incredible use case for agentic commerce. Our kind of take on agentic commerce is that shopping is really fun and discovery of items is fun, and it's hard to change consumer behavior in that way. But there's so much coordination cost with actually trying to resell an item that we touched on a little bit. So actually creating a listing, it's super manual. And we think that agents will be a great use case for that in terms of negotiating, setting price, bidding, messaging with another buyer. So that's really the future we're building toward.
For anyone listening, what's Trace's call to action? How can the Shakti community help you, whether it's going on Trace, listing those dresses?
We've actually recently closed our beta and we're relaunching in the fall. So join our wait list. And also, if anyone has connections to influencer agencies or creators, our go to market is all around influencers. So any connections there would be great, or intros to anyone in retail or brands specifically, because while we're a consumer marketplace, we will be going B2B in our first year because Trace ultimately see it as a conversion driver for retailers.
Thank you guys so much.